Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Ro and I'm a writer and eventually I'm a reader, and I say eventually because it's been like so long since I've actually read a book, and this past week I've been reading a trilogy that I have already read when I was younger, and then I read it again, and this is kind of like the third time that I read it because I kind of thought that I needed to read something that I already knew, so I will get back to reading because I've been so busy studying and so tired because of it that I didn't want to pick up a book, and I want to get back to it because I actually want to start making reviews of books that I love and books that I hate and the whole of it. So I'm really excited for this. So I'm going to be talking about the Ruby Red Trilogy, which is a story that I love completely. The writer is Kerstin Gier, and she is incredible, and this story is awesome. So before we go and roll on the titles, I need to tell you that the first part of this review, it's going to be like spoiler free. I'm just gonna tell you what the book is about, and then we're gonna go full on spoilers because I like spoiling things. I don't know, that's just how I work. So we're gonna be doing that. So if you don't want to get spoiled and you don't know these books, just watch like the first minutes of my reviews, and then when I say spoilers are coming, get the fuck off. That's it. Anyways, let's roll the titles and go with this because I'm actually excited for this. Okay, so to get into it, now I need to give you a spoiler free of what this story is about. So the story takes place, it doesn't happen, it takes place in contemporary London and in the year 2011. So this is a story that I read like like when I was 15 or 16 years old, and like I fell in love with it, and now I'm still in love with it. I had a few things thinking that maybe I wouldn't like it as much because I've become so critical, but turns out to be that I still loved it a lot, and but we're gonna discuss that later. So the story follows Gwyneth Shepherd, which is a girl who was born into a family who someone somehow happens to have a time traveling gene, and the supposed person that's going to have this gene is her cousin Charlotte. And this girl has been prepared her entire life, in martial arts and history and everything, so she could be ready for the time that this came to happen, and everyone is so involved in it, and she's like, I don't know, Charlotte is like perfect in all of this. And well, tiny spoiler that's going to happen because of course our protagonist is Gwyneth. It turns out to be that Charlotte is not the one who's got the gene, but Gwyneth is. So problems incoming. So she happens to travel in time for the first time, and well, then she turns out to take Charlotte's place. So a lot of things happen in this story, and I'm gonna say it in the spoiler part because I actually want you to read the Ruby Red Trilogy because it's incredible, and Kerstin Gier is such an incredible writer. She's a German writer, and I really need to get to some more of her work because I mean, like, this trilogy has been incredible, amazing, and I really want to get to know the rest of the worlds that she creates because she's actually awesome, and she's really good at it. The story happens in 3 books, and it happens over the span of 2 weeks, and sometimes it's 3 books to tell 2 weeks, but it's actually really nice. It's so very well told, and it's kind of fast paced at a moment. The only problem that I had, was that maybe the 2 main characters had a quick development, but then I realized, nah, that's not actually a problem because that actually happens in real life. But seriously, the books are Ruby Red, Sapphire Blue, and Emerald Green, you should go ahead and read them because they are incredible and you're going to love them. Because I love them, and I'm telling you, I'm super critical of everything, but I don't know, there's time traveling, and you know, the time travelers get the names of a jewel, which is awesome. Like, it's super cool, you know, and there are prophecies and things, and I don't know, and there's love involved in it, and there's a gargoyle which is super hilarious and it's amazing. But seriously, if you haven't read this story, go ahead and read it. And now we're going onto the spoiler section of this, so goodbye if you haven't read it. Okay, so now that we're ready for the spoilers, now I'm gonna be able to talk about everything. So one thing that I need to say, and that I think that I say in every single video I make, but I still need to say it, I'm not a big fan of romance, so it is quite weird for me to actually have a ship that I want to talk about. And I remember reading this story when I was like 16, and I love the characters, you know. The other time traveler that travels with Gwyneth, it's Gideon de Villiers, and he is my baby. I love that guy. He's such a conceited douchebag, but he's a good person as well. So he's just like, I don't know, I just love him. He seems like he's a conceited douchebag, but he's actually not. He's actually quite a generous person. He's actually quite good. He's just like, I've been trained my whole life for this fucking mission, and you're not gonna come here and ruin it, girl. So it's understandable, you know, but I don't know. And then Gwyneth is just like this girl that she's so sweet, and sometimes she's a little naive, sometimes, and she's like, she feels a lot, and you can tell that she feels a lot, you know, because her heart hurts in the deepest ways. So she falls in love quickly also, and I don't know, I don't like that in characters, but in her, like, I can let it pass. I can let you live with it. So coming to the fact that I don't tend to like romance, I really like the ship of Gwyneth and Gideon because they are kind of nice together. Besides, like I'm telling you, I read this story when I was younger, and I was super aberrant on love back then, and I still like them. And now that I'm kind of a little more open to it, not that much, I'm still very disgusted by the idea of everybody involved in love in every story they write. Like, please stop doing it, especially if you're gonna do the same bullshit as always. But this story, I can go well with it. So they're kind of cute. They're my ship. They were my ship, like, I don't know, almost 10 years ago, and they're still my ship to this day, and I'm really happy about it. So now, having established that, we're gonna talk about the rest of the story because I really want to talk about that. So I'm getting really bothered because my neighbors are listening to really like loud music, and I think that you're able to listen to it, which is bullshit. I don't get one single day of quiet in this neighborhood. I hate it. Anyways, if my video gets blocked because of that, I'm gonna kill somebody. Like, I'm already picturing it. So okay, so like I was saying before, the story begins with the whole thing, you know, and everybody is going nuts actually, because Charlotte is kind of like in her 16 years, you know, she's close to her birthday. And it turns out to happen that Charlotte was born on the 7th and Gwyneth was born on the 8th. She wasn't born on the 8th, you know. She was born on the 7th as well, but her mom lied on her birth certificate and the whole thing, which is a big deal for later. But the thing is that she lied on her birth certificate so the people from the lodge, you know, wouldn't just go around and say, oh my god, you know, we have to train her and the whole thing. So because everybody was hoping that it was Charlotte, the one who had inherited the gene, the time traveling gene, you know. So everybody was hoping that Gwyneth would have no problem with that. So it makes sense, you know, to lie a little bit so the girl wouldn't have a screwed up childhood. Like, I understand you, Grace. The thing is that it's not Charlotte. So Charlotte basically spent her entire life training for this mission that she's not even going to be a part of, because Gwyneth is the one who travels in time, you know, and there are only 12 time travelers. I mean, like, they're the time time travelers from the male line, and then the female line. And Gwyneth will be the last from the female line, and then Gideon will be the last from the male line. And it's just kind of like they always exist, you know, at the same time, and it turns to happen that they always have sort of like 2 years of difference, you know, like the males tend to be like 2 years older than the females. So yeah, that as well. So that happens. The thing is that there are only 12 time travelers predicted to be born, and the whole thing, you know, and a whole important people throughout history made the calculations for the birth and blah 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 and all of that. Well, turns out to be Gwyneth, and she travels back in time 3 times before she tells her mom, "Mama, there's something wrong with me. I've been traveling in time." So her mom's like, "Oh my god, we need to take it to the lodge. I was hoping this wouldn't happen," in the whole of it, you know. And well, they take Gwyneth to the lodge, and everybody's like, "No, this is wrong. We've been preparing Charlotte for this her entire life. Gwyneth wasn't even born on the right day," and she's like, "I falsificated her birth certificate so she would be bothered by you her entire life," and the whole thing, you know. And there's a lot of trouble, and basically the Guardians hate Gwyneth's mom because of everything she did. But I think that it's right, every decision she made, because it has such an important thing happening on the plot later. So the thing is that it's kind of nice, but they, you know, Gwyneth is about to travel in time again. So anyways, it's not gonna be Charlotte. We already know it's not gonna be Charlotte, because there's only one traveler who can have the gene. The only one time that it happened before that there were 2 time travelers from the same line, it was because they were twins. I mean, like, besides that, there was no other possibility. There was no possibility that Charlotte was going to have the gene at the same time that Gwyneth did, because they were no twins. So anyways, so they basically, well, Gwyneth's mom wants to get Gwyneth into the safest place possible, you know, and she's like, "You're not gonna get her into this mission. I'm pretty sure that Gideon can do it alone," and the whole of that, you know. So she's like, "I'm pretty sure that Gideon can do it alone," and Gideon is like, "Yeah, I can do it alone. I don't need her. I mean, like, she needs to elapse, so there's no uncontrolled time traveling, so that's needed for her to be there, you know. Like, she still needs to go to a lodge and spend time in the past so she can, you know, so there's no problems in her life, because it's like, it would be a really great problem if she would be jumping from, I don't know, from 2011 to 15 in something else, out of nowhere. I mean, like, you're in the middle of class and you're jumping in time, you know, like, that would be a problem. So she needs to elapse at least 4 hours a day, you know. And turns out to be that, I don't know, a few years before, actually 17 years ago, Paul and Lucy, which are Paul de Villiers and Lucy Monrose, she's kind of like her cousin and a distant relative of Gideon, which is the previous time travelers. That was easier to say, wasn't it? Okay, the previous time travelers stole the chronograph, and the chronograph is this little machine that they use just so they can control they're traveling, you know. And they stole it and took it to the past with them. So the Guardians had to fix another chronograph that there was, you know, and they had to fix it, and they had to start the whole thing again because there's a prophecy involving every single time traveler, and the thing that it said is basically that the philosopher's stone will be found when the circle of 12 is closed, basically. So what means is that the blood of the 12 time travelers has to be inside the chronograph, and then something will happen inside the chronograph, and you know, the philosopher's stone and immortality and the whole of that. So basically that's the mission, to complete the circle of 12 with the blood of every single one of the travelers. But the fact is that the thing is that Lucy and Paul stole the chronograph that almost had the circle closed, you know. So that is a problem, and they had to continue, you know, and Gideon had to start everything again. So he's been doing the mission alone ever since he started traveling in time, you know. And now that Winnet isn't here, the Count Saint Germain wants to meet Winnet. And the Count Saint Germain is basically the guy who founded the Lodge of the Guardians, you know, and the Lodge of Count Saint Germain, because, you know, you have to put your name in it. And the thing is that he wants to meet Gwyneth, you know, and it's said that he can read your mind, so things happen in that first meeting. And she's terrified of the guy because he's kind of creepy. I mean, like, I wouldn't be terrified of the guy. I would just, I don't know. That's why sometimes I hate characters who are so sensitive, because it's just like, I don't know, I will be throwing punches. Like, I'm basically a rebel. I don't know. I don't have a personality that just lets people step on me. I will be throwing punches. That's it. So anyways, she's super terrified of the guy. He's not that scary. She's terrified of the guy, which makes sense, you know. So anyway, she starts elapsing and the whole of that, you know, and she starts also liking to spend time with Gideon. So the relationship develops pretty quickly, actually. So the thing is that it was supposed to be that she wasn't going to be a part of this story, but turns out to be that Lady Tilney, which is basically one of her ancestors, is just like, yeah, I'm not gonna talk with anyone if it's not Gwyneth. So they have to make her be a part of it. And then we meet Madame Rosini, which is a French, oh my god, I forgot the word. Well, she makes the wardrobes, you know, so they can go and travel in time and the whole of it. And she's a sweetheart. Like, she's one enjoyable character to be around, you know. And I wish we have seen so much more of her, but well, we couldn't spend that much time with Madame Rosini, actually. So anyway, that happens. They travel back in time, and it just so happens to be that in that same meeting with Lady Tilney, they happen to meet Paul and Lucy, and a lot of shit happens, and then they are almost killed, and bunch of stuff. Anyways, there are a lot of mysteries in this story, and it's super interesting because, I don't know, it just keeps you hooked, you know. It just keeps you hooked. Anyways, so while we're at it, I want to explain to you this next thing. So Lucas Montrose was Gwyneth's grandfather, and he died when she was like 6 years old, you know. And she really misses her grandfather. I think that Yeah, I think that was around the time he died, or 10 years, or maybe when she was 10 years old. I don't know, because her father died as well, so the dates are getting mixed up for me. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So the thing is that she really misses him, and turns out to be that in one of those, days in which she just happens to elapse, in the past, she happens to meet a young Lucas Monroe's. So they start knowing things and the whole of that, and she tells him everything that's been happening, and the stolen chronograph, and that Lucy and Paul ran away with it, and they start unsolving mysteries of everything, unraveling this whole thing that she doesn't understand half of it, because nobody wants to tell her what happened. What reason did Lucy and Paul have to steal the chronograph? Nobody knows shit. I mean, like, they do know, but they don't want to tell her, which is crap. Like, if you don't want the girl to betray you, don't keep her in the dark. And I think that somebody at some point says that, because I don't know, it's common sense. Because she ends up betraying them all because nobody wanted to tell her what was happening. And she's of course she ends up doing the right thing, but none of this would have happened if you wouldn't have kept her in the dark. I mean, like, if you want to be able to trust somebody, you gotta gain their trust as well. It's that easy. Anyway, so things develop, and there are a lot of things happening, and more things get to be known, and more places that she has to go into the past and meet people. Now that I'm in addition, I just realized that I forgot to tell you about the part in which Gwyneth is immortal, because the circle really closes with her. Like, she is Paul and Lucy's daughter. You get me? So she's not only immortal because the circle closes with her, and she cannot die unless she kills herself. Like, that's what the prophecy says. Like, I forgot to tell that piece of information, which is, like, huge. I don't know why I forgot. I think that I got carried away. But anyways, so that's the addition. I'm closing this. Continue. And honestly, I don't really want to make this video that long, because I can talk for hours about everything that happens in this book. Like, it makes me, I don't know, I've read it 3 times. I've read this trilogy 3 times, and every single time I've enjoyed it so much, because I don't know, we get to meet Samarius, which is a gargoyle that's amazing, and then Gideon is my baby boy. Like, he's awesome, and Gwyneth is the narrator as well, and she's so enjoyable. And then we also meet Leslie, which is who is Gwyneth's best friend, and she's incredible, and she's super smart, and she's always helping Gwyneth to know more things about everything, about the past, about the lodge, about Count Saint Germain, and everything that happened, and she's basically part of that. And then we get to meet Raphael, who is, oh my god, start talking properly, who is Gideon's brother, and a lot of things happen anyway. So I could be talking for hours about this. I just want to say that, besides the fact that these reviews are already a mess, it had a structure in my mind, but I'm not even respecting it anymore. So this trilogy is just simply amazing. I love it. The time traveling is great. Like I said, I read the story 3 times, and the 3 times it has been awesome. Like, I don't know, it's so well thought out. You have to be so careful when you're talking about time traveling, because you can screw up a lot of things, but this is so well thought out. Like, there are no plot holes in there. Like, there are no things that just make you wonder, oh my god, no, what's going to happen in here and in that, oh no, you missed that part, or anything like it. For example, Avengers Endgame, it has a whole bunch of plot holes, if you think about it, because time traveling is really, really hard to write, and yet this story is just so well done. Like, I've always been, I don't know, in wonder of what Kerstin Gier was able to achieve, because it's seriously incredible. I know that there are editors in play, and there are beta readers, and people who get involved beside the writer, you know. I don't know how the process was for her, but still, the main story is hers entirely, and it's simply genius, and it makes me so happy. And I know that I'm probably going to read it, I don't know, in 2 years, or in another 5, or in another 10, and I'm still going to love it, because it is such an enjoyable character. It's such an enjoyable story with such amazing characters, and such a nice and well told story, you know. And that's something that I'm always searching for, because I think that, I don't know, probably you don't know me that much, but I'm a pain in the ass when it comes to world building and characterization and the whole of it, because I'm a writer myself, and I'm super critical of my own work. So if I'm critical of my own work, imagine how I am with other people's work, you know, because I'm always like, you could have done better, you know, you could have thought of something else, and the whole of that. Because I'm annoying as hell. Like, I'm telling you, when I sit down and edit my own stories, I'm like, this is bullshit. You have to make it be good, you know. I think that most people is like that. I mean, like, a part of me is like, oh my god, you're such a genius, and another part of me is like, you're a genius in progress. So anyway, I'm super critical of myself. I'm super critical of what I write, and I always want my characters to feel human, you know. And I don't know, I think that that's one of the things that draws me the most into this story, the fact that the characters feel like human beings, you know, and they are hilarious, and they are stupid as well, you know, and they have a whole bunch of layers to them, and they're so interesting. And I know that I would use the word interesting so much, but they deserve it. They totally deserve it. So that, the world building is also an amazing thing, seriously. I mean, like, it happens in contemporary London, but still, everything that has to go with, I don't know, the magic of the raven, the magic of the time travelers, the chronograph, the magic involving everything, you know, how everything works, the rules of them, um, how, what happens when they go into the past, you know, what they can do, what they cannot do, um, the people they meet, everything is so well planned, you know. And it is such a small story, but it feels huge, you know, and it's so brilliantly done that it makes me feel like I want to read more of this. I actually need to do some research and see if Kerstin has written anything revolving around this universe, because I would really like to know a lot more about them. Because I don't know, we parted on the third book when Winnet was 16. Like, I'm telling you, the 3 books happened over the span of 2 weeks, so we have so much more to see of them, especially because we know that the 2 main characters now are immortal. Like, there's so much more they could be doing. I want to know all of that. It's so interesting to me. I don't know, I'm so caught up in this story that I don't know, it's one of my favorite worlds. And I know this review has been a mess, because I'm terrible at, I don't know, making things have a structure if I have to speak my mind in them. But anyways, I think that's all I wanted to say. I don't know, just, if you have read the story, please tell me in the comments what you think of it, because I would really like to know what other people think of the story, what you thought about the characters. I don't know, it's so precious to my heart that I don't think that I can be that critical of it. But even the things that I wanted to be critical about, for example, Gwyneth and Gideon falling in love like to them fast, that is something that bothers me. But then I'm like, yeah, I fell in love in 2 weeks already, so I cannot actually say anything about it. It happened to me, so I cannot be that critical, you know, of a fictional character. Because if it happened to me and I'm a real person, why wouldn't it happen to a fictional character? So it makes sense. Anyways, that's it. Um, and the rest of the things, I cannot be that critical about them because they're just, like I said, brilliantly done. So anyways, talk to me in the comments. And yeah, that's pretty much all. So I'm going to start reading books. The next book I'm reading is Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson, and I think that I'm going to love it because it's an amazing. This is the first book I'm going to be reading of him. My best friend actually told me that I have to read it, and she told me, "Yeah, read that." She's been telling me to read various books of him, but I've been like, "Yeah, first before reading Sanderson, because I know that I'm going to love him, I need to get back to the habit of reading. You know, at least read one book per week, because I've been gone for so long." It's embarrassing, seriously. Good thing that I'm not the kind of writer that needs reading for her to write, because I can do that without any reading done. But anyways, so that the next book I'm going to read and that I'm going to make a review of is Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson, so that's gonna be great. That's it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell as per usual, like the video because you will be helping me a lot if you like it, and that's it. Always remember to be positive, kind and curious, and that is my cue to leave. So have a good day, people.